We know in our hearts that this is not the first time that the lesbian and gay community has done civil disobedience. Every day of our lives, in every part of this...
We want justice! We want justice! We want justice!
Liberate to end the hate! This is what democracy looks like! Oh mama, don't mind me! We demand equality! We are the queer youth! We are the queer youth! The mighty, mighty queer youth! The mighty, mighty queer youth! Fighting for justice! Fighting for justice! And liberation! And liberation!
I march today because in the tradition of those who have spoken right here on this lawn before me, I dream and hope and believe. I march today because I believe that change is not only possible, it is inevitable.
Hi, this is Zoe Nicholson. It is October 8th. I am leaving tomorrow for the National March for Equality. And my house is never this disheveled. I've been answering emails, Twitters, Facebook messages for weeks. I have decisions to make about what to take. I've made 75 buttons and rainbow armbands and bought a rainbow scarf. This probably is the 20th or more march I've been to. It's hard to say. But I started marching in the 60s. And now, who can believe we're still doing this? Actually, I can. Because nothing changes people more than marching.
So it's October 8th, 2009. We are at my house and it's the fall, so I have to wear my blues. There's my Dixie cup, which I would be wearing. We're ready to make some signs. Cell phone, checklists, agendas, things that I want to do.
Currently, we are solving the case of the missing keys. We're all set to go in the car. Hi, Francis. Francis is having a little nap. And we have no keys. No keys. Adding a kid and dogs and a trailer to your daily routine makes everything take extremely long. I found them.
Oh my god, where were they?
I can't tell you.
Did you have them? They were in your jacket.
They were
Oh
in-
my god, I'm sweating.
They were in my pants pocket.
They're in your pants pocket!
Does this thing work?
Okay, today's October 7th. We're getting ready to pack our suitcases.
Not only do we pack our normal stuff, our clothes and stuff, we also pack our marriage license, our healthcare proxies, and all of our documentation to prove we
Are married.
are married.
We get in at 10 in the morning.
So, get enough time to get to the hotel, drop off our stuff, and
Meet
Get
up
to
with
the-
our group.
get to the march.
Honey, what are your fears going into this?
Well, I could go back through my entire history of being alive and go through my whole coming out story and all my experiences. But right now, I'm not going to choose fear. I'm going to choose love. And so I don't have any fears about this because it's a waste of energy. It's going to be great. And we're going to have an awesome time. And we're going to meet some wonderful people. And we're going to celebrate our anniversary. And it's just going to come from a place of love because hate comes from fear, and fear spawns hate, and I don't want any part of it.
We met on a dance floor at a place called the Cafe in the Castro in San Francisco. As luck would have it, we both ended up in the same place at the same time. I think it was the only night I went out the entire semester, and she was just happened to be in town, and I saw her across a crowded dance floor, and she took my breath away, and I thought, my goodness, that is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But I was too shy to do anything about it. I just stood there and stalked her from across the room for a half an hour and just stared at her. And then we just started talking, and then she asked me out, and it's been a really wonderful romance ever since.
I saw him across a crowded floor, and I don't know, there was just something about him.
It was love at first sight
Yeah.
for him,
I knew
but
immediately.
not for me.
I knew immediately, yeah.
Repeal, don't ask, don't tell. Repeal, don't ask, don't tell. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
I actually owned a bookstore, and my bookstore was the headquarters for No on Six. It was a proposition in the late 70s that proposed that people could be fired from teaching if they were known to be homosexual. So my girlfriend, my beautiful non-political artistic girlfriend, found herself in the middle of politics with me because I find it all very exhilarating and exciting. And we had No on Six bumper stickers and No on Six buttons and No on Six paraphernalia. Your place to pick them up was our bookstore.
El trabajo cuando yo estuve en el militar me encantaba, me encantaba. Y después de todo lo que hice, de todos los certificados que me han dado, cuando vienen y te dan esas noticias de que te van a correr, that they're gonna let you go because you're gay, that's horrible. Emotionally, I was destroyed. They just came up to me and said, hey, you've been accused of being a homosexual, and we are processing you out with an honorable discharge with homosexual admission. ¿Qué es eso? What is that? We met in Virginia. The town is Norfolk. That's where the naval base is. The truth, the first impression I had about Jack was, here's this cute guy roaming around the clubs, and 3.5 years later, here we are.
The first couple of months, we went to parks and museums and operas, and like we just really took it casual, and that's how I knew that I was, you know, he was the one for me.
What do you think, Francis? Yeah.
How did we decide to get married?
You said, don't bother starting to date me unless you're ready to get married. That's how we ended up getting married.
Yeah, well, you know, I was getting to that point in my life where, you know, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on a relationship and then figure out that, you know, this person isn't interested in a long-term, you know, like lifelong commitment.
Actually, the shrimp come out firmer. You get out that excess moisture in them, that the water, you know, them soaking in water.
Martha Stewart.
No, that's from that's not Martha Stewart, it's your cousin Pat.
We kind of like talked it through. Do we really, what's important to us? And we decided that committing ourselves in our faith was important to us.
Or
we
in
both,
a faith.
In
anyway.
a faith, yeah. Well, we wanted, you know, your faith, we couldn't get it.
Forget it.
But we wanted to, it was important to us. We knew we couldn't be committed under the law, but we wanted to have some type of ceremonies.
December 8th of 1979, we had a commitment ceremony, which was totally avant-garde then.
Yeah, our gay friends, some of them said, oh,
my God.
How can I go to that? That's so weird. And, you know, so we had to...
So we were pioneers back then.
Weren't intending to be, but it's just what was important to us.
It was probably a year after dating. Just kind of happened. Like, just I thought in my head, wow, this girl is awesome. And I couldn't see myself with anyone else.
I did know that the moment I saw her, that my life had changed. I didn't know how. I just knew that it was like a force, kind of like a physical force. She took my breath away. She just made me so happy, makes me so happy. And as we were getting to know each other, I just felt more and more like myself and more like my true self was being validated, and that I didn't have to be scared, and I didn't have to be in the closet, and I didn't have to just be bisexual. I could just be Erin. Whoever Erin is, whatever box I'm supposed to fit into. Maybe it's like a Venn diagram, I don't know. And she made me feel at home and safe.
We celebrate with each coming out story, and we mourn deeply over unthinkable hate crimes. We march in the street, we collect our courage, and together we face the biggest waves. We resist the undertow, we swim out again and ride the crest. I had no idea I was ever going to be an activist at the level that I am. I met my beloved Sonia Johnson. She came through the bookstore, and that really set my heart on fire. This was 1981. So Sonia came to the store one day. I said, Sonia, what are we going to do? The Equal Rights Amendment deadline's coming up in a few months. I cannot fold another flyer. I can't do another bulk mailing. I can't do another phone bank. One day in May, the phone rang in 1982. And she said, Zoe, I know what we're doing. We're doing a fast. I did fast in public for 37 days on water in the Springfield Capitol building in 1982 prior to the devastating loss of the Equal Rights Amendment. And I was 34, and it was a damn hard thing to do. I took from that I can do anything I put my mind to, and God help the fool who tells me that I'm not serious, because I already know I am, and now I can be a buffoon all I like, because I already know I'm willing to die for it.
Here we are in our lovely neighborhood, which is officially called Haller Lake.
Haller.
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 Haller that.
I ain't no Haller Lake girl.
Where does Haller Lake start, do you know?
I don't know. It's just hilarious to hear you talk like an ethnographer. And behind this bush, we find the native of Haller Lake conducting his normal business.
That's you. You're the native of Haller Lake.
Okay, Ruby Mead.
Particularly as a queer teen, you just, especially if you don't live in a big city or something, you don't have exposure so that you know that there's a ton of people out there that live, I don't want to say normal lives, but they lead good lives, you know, and they love themselves and they have joy in their lives. And I just didn't know that. I thought that this was always going to be something about myself that I would be embarrassed about, or I'd always have to work around it somehow. I'd always have to overcompensate by being extra smart or extra good. So I think getting married was a huge step forward out of those feelings.
I knew there was a difference from about the age of 5. I remember wanting and not being able to wait until the Sears Roebuck catalog came.
Ooh, I think I knew I was different when I was like 5. Because I used to get the Sears catalog. And every time I went through the Sears catalog, I'd look at the men's underwear section.
And the first place I wanted to look was the men's underwear section, because I could get to see men with almost nothing on.
I was born and raised Catholic. I went to Catholic grammar school and Catholic high school. And religion played a big role in my life. Some of it positive and some of it negative. And my teenage years were very, very difficult. I knew I was different. I was not very athletic. I was made fun of, a number of times. I was called a sissy. And I went into a very deep depression. I had thoughts of suicide. I mean, obviously, it had something to do with my sexuality. And it took me a while to sort all of that out.
I had what I have referred to before as a Mark Twain childhood. From the time I was born to the time I was 6, I lived with my mom and my dad. Then my dad, when I was 6 years old, left my mom for another man and moved to D.C. And so I lived primarily with my mother in the suburbs of Virginia.
I grew up here in the Bay Area. When I came out, I chose to be me. It wasn't something like people say, it's a choice, you're choosing this. No, I'm choosing to not be afraid to be myself. I can probably trace it all the way back to middle school, 12, 13, when I had girl crushes. and then throughout high school, girl crushes.
I was born in Santa Cruz County, California. My parents migrated there a lot in the summers for work. My mom was illegal at the time. I was raised in Yuma, Arizona, in a small town called Somerton. This is pretty much desert. I don't remember when I realized I was gay, because I've come to the conclusion that I've always been gay. Ever since I can remember, I always had feelings for men.
I used to say that I didn't come out of the closet, I just stepped to the left a little bit, because from puberty, I knew that if I wanted to, I would date a girl.
I was 19 when I was up visiting my mom up at the cabin in Yosemite, and I told her there was something I needed to talk to her about, and I could barely talk. But I told her, and the first thing she said was, I'm sad for you, Amy, because your life is going to be really hard. And I really wanted a better life for you. And that really kicks my ass now, because I have a really great life. And she still doesn't accept me and Ruby. She just doesn't think that it's right, or that it's natural, or that it's God approved. I feel like I need to protect Frances from my mother, which is kind of ridiculous because my mother, she's my mother. I have the softest spot in my heart for her. I know that she's a wonderful person. But I won't raise my child around someone who's going to make them think that they're any less for any reason. And I know that she's a mother and she understands that. She wouldn't have let anyone into my life who told me that I was less. So I'm hoping that maybe I can connect with her on that level. The problem is that she doesn't think that I'm a mother.
I eventually moved to San Francisco to explore my sexuality because I knew that there was this part of me that I had known about since I was 7 that I just never really let myself acknowledge. So I dated women and I didn't tell anyone, and I dated men, and that was my cover. And then in 2002, my mom's breast cancer came back, and I left San Francisco and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina for 2 years to be with her, and I was blessed to have another 2 years with her. And I came back to San Francisco, and my whole life sort of got turned upside down. You know, when you lose a parent so early, even though I was almost 30 years old, it was, you have this sort of identity crisis, like, you know, suddenly you're motherless, sort of, even though you had a mother all that time. And, you know, who am I? How do I define myself now? And it's, I've spent a lot of my life trying to figure out how to define myself, but always using other people's definitions, and I didn't have my own. It's hard for me to accept that my mother has never met Carrie, and I never came out to her. And it's hard to think that she didn't really know me, and I'll never know if she would have accepted me for who I truly am. It's really hard to live with. I like to believe that she sends me signs, and all the signs have been really positive. I ask for signs, and she sends them a lot, and I really do believe that she sent me Carrie.
I was born into wealth, and my father gave my mother, for I think her birthday, 4 front row seats to Milwaukee County Stadium. And we would walk in, park the car in a very special paid-for spot, and walk in, and everyone would know her name. Hi, Jean. And I would sit in row 1, seat 2, box 11, right behind the on-deck circle. But when I was old enough to walk the stadium the whole way by myself, that was really cool. I think I was maybe 8 or 9. And I went up the stairs, and I walked around to first base, and then I walked around to third base, and then I went around to the bleachers. So I came back and sat down next to my mother and said, I have this really great idea. So here's what we're gonna do. Every game we're gonna change seats. Because on first base, those people can't see the on-deck circle. And on third base, those people can't see the ball coming at them. And in the bleachers, you can't see anything. So I've decided that what we should do is we should all stand up and we should keep on moving, you know, around, so every kid in the stadium could see what was going on the field as well as I could. And I mean, I remember that very specifically. And my mother looking at me, which now I can see that had I a kid who said something like that, I mean, I'd be really moved and think, job well done. And I remember my mother thinking that was like the stupidest idea she'd ever heard. She paid good money for these seats, goddammit, and we're gonna sit here and we're gonna watch the game in our seats.
I never, ever, I mean, being gay, I never even ever thought about getting legally married.
Tried a couple of times to have a relationship with a couple of men, and they lasted for a little while and then would go away. And always in the back of my mind was, why can't I find somebody who I can spend the rest of my life with. Is it what I am destined to do as a gay person, to always be on the outside of having a family?
Over here, we made dream mobiles, and they had a dream for themselves, for their family, and for the world. Let's see. He wished for himself, I wish I will never stop learning. I wish that my family always has love, and I wish we had enough food to keep everybody healthy. That was his dream for the world.
It was probably a year after dating, just kind of happened. Like, just I thought in my head, wow, this girl is awesome, and I couldn't see myself with anyone else. And then the whole process of, wow, could this really be the one?
So Carrie asked me to marry her, and she asked me on 6 brownie cookies.
I surprised her. I went down on my lunch break and got the rings, and then I think it was afterwards that I went downstairs to, I think it was a grocery store of some sort, and I got these little cookies that were chocolate fudge cookies.
And we had gone out to dinner at that Italian place we tried to go to.
Yeah, Italian
Bella.
place.
And
I had the gnocchi.
And we ate, and I kept saying, oh, I'm gonna save room for dessert. And she's like, no, I have dessert at home. And I was like, she's like, I got this special dessert. I'm like, I'm too full. I don't want to eat it. She's just look at it. Okay, fine, I'll look at it. And I opened the box that said Aaron Carter, and I was like, cookies with my name. That's so rad. And I was all excited. And I'm like, do you want to eat the one that says Aaron or the one that says Carter? And she was like, well, there's another box. I'm like, I can't eat more than one cookie.
I was like, no, wait.
She's like, just open the box. So I opened the second box, and it said, will you marry me?
So I had my brother and his girlfriend at the time, which is now my sister-in-law, and my mom and Aaron, and we all sat down, had dinner at my mom's, and I was really nervous. Said, you know what, I have something to tell you guys. I asked Aaron to marry me, and then we brought our hands out and had our rings, and the first thing out of my mom's mouth, unfortunately, was, you can't do that. She just, I don't think she could process, because it wasn't legal, right?
I've always loved to sing, and in school in Alabama, I was always in the Glee Club. When I met Michael and found out he'd always liked to be had been in a choir, I wasn't so sure that I wanted to join the Catholic Church choir, only because it was the Catholic Church, and I knew, of course, the way the Catholic Church felt about gay people. But it was something Michael and I could enjoy together. That became our family ritual.
I was a member for 32 years. Robert was probably about 23,
Moved 24,
something
25
like
years.
that.
We had brought our families there with us. My mom lived with us.
And then we brought my parents.
His parents with us, and we all went to church together as a family.
We were already involved in the marriage movement by then. Well, actually, when Canada came through, I was up there on business. Canada ruled that marriages would be legal in Canada. We got married in Niagara Falls. We went on the internet, and I think it was called Niagara Falls Weddings. And they arranged.
Well, of course, our first question was, will you do same-sex marriages? Some places said no.
Yeah.
There was a couple places that said no.
Yeah.
And then, but this place was the Minolta Tower.
Tower.
Please forgive me my tears, for they are tears of joy. I have had many names for you over the years. Friend, lover, partner. Today, I can legally add 2 more. My husband, my spouse. In you, through you, because of you, all of my dreams come true.
You know, I don't care what anybody says. When you get that piece of paper, it does feel different.
Yep, it feels different. It's great to have that little piece of paper that says you are legally married.
I therefore declare them legally married, lifetime partners, in the name of God and according to the laws of the province of Ontario.
We didn't know at the time that the story about us getting married, the New Faces of Marriage, was going to be on the front page of the Sunday edition above the fold. So there was no way you could miss our picture.
Too big.
I mean, when we went in to buy the paper, all we saw was 100 of our faces in the newspaper stand. It was like, oh my God, you know. So I guess it was a dead news day.
What are you doing?
Taking a video of my cute wife.
Let's turn that frown upside down. There, so much better. Somebody's so happy to be waiting.
My parents never married. They stayed together for, I think, probably till I was 1 or 2. It was a big thing that my parents weren't married. And so for me, getting married was something I always thought was something I wanted to do. I wound up having all these, you know, feelings about commitment and marriage. And so I was into the whole white dress and, you know, beautiful day and...
So pretty. You were so pretty.
And, you know, so we did that.
Juliet and Juliet met last night. They kissed till the morning's light. Oh, they had.
We had a wedding here in Seattle with, was it 135 people? There was this certain magic that was there that day. It just felt like something was marrying us.
A big part of it was like having everyone participate with us.
Yeah, we had them do vows too. They vowed to
help us
support
the union.
continue the relationship since, you know, there isn't a lot of societal support.
They kissed till the morning's light.
So we were just gonna get married, and we started looking into getting our domestic partnership and thinking about having a big ceremony, and we decided we wanted to get married on 10-10-10, which was 2.5 years from when she was asking, and we figured that's plenty of time to come out to my entire family and save up some money for a really, really wonderful event. So we had this 2.5-year timeline, except that the law changed, and so it immediately became this like 4-month timeline. So we scrapped all of our original plans when we became legal and moved it up. At first we were like, oh, well, we don't really know what's going to happen with Prop 8, and we're just going to wait and keep it. And then we thought, we got to do it. We can't wait. We got to do it now.
Yeah.
Because we had to plan our wedding so quickly, and there was no turnaround time, you know, it was really, it really hurt that the majority of my family was not here supporting me. And it was circumstantial that they couldn't be here. I mean, if I were marrying a man, I wouldn't have had such a truncated timeline to plan my wedding. And so I would never have planned a wedding 2 weeks before my sister's going to give birth. And I would never have chosen, you know, the date that's my nephew's birthday.
We didn't know what ramifications it would have, but it unfortunately did have ramifications when we came back in our choir.
Oh, yeah. And then the whole thing happened with the church. This was the first Sunday after our wedding, actually a week to the day after our wedding, and we came here to sing in the choir on Sunday as we usually do. And when we got here, we were met on the steps by the Monsignor with my mother there.
We told her to go inside.
We told her to go. I mean, she was there for the initial confrontation, And then we said, Mom, why don't you go and sit inside? Because we didn't want her to
We
be
didn't want her
totally
to be
exposed.
upset.
I mean, you'd think he would have had enough sense with my mother there that,
No, but we didn't want her to be upset, so we told her,
you
go
know, he
in
could have
and sit
waited
down.
till the next day or something, you know. You know, that's when he told us that we could not serve in a public ministry anymore. And I said to him, I said, why? He said, well, you got married. I said, well, that has nothing to do with the church. We're not asking the church to recognize our marriage. I mean, it was a civil marriage. It was done in Canada. Well, you went public.
And we had not told, most of the choir did not know
No,
were
we
getting
got married.
We had no intention of broadcasting it. We weren't going to make anything big of it. The paper that we were on the front page of was a Westchester paper. This was in the Bronx.
Sang in the Bronx.
So we knew it was in the New York Times, but, you know, some people might see it.
And
know
for
it,
whatever reason, we sent in our picture late, so the announcement in the New York Times is just the verbal.
Right.
There's no picture of us in the Times. But apparently, you know, I mean, it's a small world, so somebody up here in Westchester must have, you know, clued in the Monsignor. So our sin was that we went public with our marriage. And I said to him, I said, well, if you feel that way, I said, I'd like something in writing. And Robert and I proceeded to go into the church, to the rehearsal space. As we walked into the church, he followed us and told us that if we sang today, he would shut down the choir. So Robert and I knew the type of personality he was, that he could potentially do that. And I know both of us in our minds were thinking about the people in the choir and the choir director and the organist. So we went back there, and he continued to follow us. And we went back and essentially to tell the choir that we would not be able to sing with them anymore. And as we were walking out of the church, the Monsignor said to the three of us, are we all right? And Robert said, how could we be okay? He said, well, I'll be praying for you.
I said, I don't need your prayers. You might be a Catholic, but you are not a Christian.
And that was the end of that.
That was the end. It took us a long time to even drive past that church. We were so traumatized by just seeing it, brought back all of those horrible memories. I said, this is not what church should be about.
Well, the initial media frenzy was a little stressful. Once one newspaper got a hold of it, forget it.
It was out. It became somewhat overwhelming
because
the attention was constant.
Because we were the poster boys for marriage, at least here in our county. How they got Robert's work number.
We couldn't figure it out.
We couldn't figure it out. But then later on we realized, since I'm listed in the phone book as M. Sabatino and my father is listed as Michael, even though he had already been deceased, the phone number was still in his name. So they called my mother, and my mother gave out the phone numbers.
Perfectly innocent and sweet. Said, oh, you need to speak with Robert? Oh, you can reach him at...
I am a United States Sailor. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. I represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before me to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I proudly serve my country's Navy combat team with honor, courage, and commitment. I am committed to excellence and the fair treatment of all. I am a United States Sailor.
My primary job in the military was cook.
This is my jewel.
Keep everybody alive and healthy and provide a meal, hopefully a good meal. You never know where you go and who's cooking for you.
It's my knife. That's my chef knife. The Navy got me to go to the Culinary Institute of America. We try so hard, and we do so much, but our personal life gets involved and it's not accepted. Petty Officer Lopez's exceptional skills and leadership transform culinary arts into a true art form. Petty Officer Lopez is ready for the White House or any flag mast. Performs at the levels of an experienced first class. And then I have a letter of character as well. He continually sets high goals, achieving them step by step in a successful manner. The Navy will suffer a great loss when he leaves the service.
I remembered with both my girlfriend and my girlfriend's girlfriend some really bizarre experiences. With my girlfriend, she had to have her tonsils out and she was maybe 24 at the time. We went to the hospital, and they told us that if she went to the adult section of the hospital, I wouldn't be able to see her. But if she went to pediatrics, I would be allowed to visit her. So Maria actually, and it was hilarious anyway, to watch this 24-year-old amazing woman in the pediatrics ward getting her tonsils out. But that was the first inkling that this is peculiar. I am family. When Maria moved on from being my partner, the woman, she was partners with only one woman after that. And when Laura got sick, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and had really extremely serious surgery. Maria and I was with Maria. We were all friends, and we were waiting. We weren't allowed to wait in the family room. And I remember the lady with the clipboard, like, and who are you? And there was just nothing we could, no box we could check to say, we're family. Maria couldn't say we're family. Anyone who thinks that the struggle is about marriage and a chicken dance and a 3-layer cake, 2 girls in a tuxedo, what's cuter than that? A rainbow cake, that's not what this is about. People who love one another should be able to visit one another in the hospital.
Well, for the last few days, Robert's been having a fever. Last night I woke up about 3 o'clock and I leaned over and I touched his forehead and it was burning hot. So I woke him up and I said, we need to take your temperature. Well, his temperature was 103. And I immediately said, okay, enough is enough. We have to go to the emergency room. So what is the first thing I grab when I go to the emergency room? My document package that has general power of attorney, living will, healthcare proxy, our domestic partnership registration for the County of Westchester, our marriage license. These documents we carry with us everywhere we go, everywhere we travel. Even when I go locally on a business sales call, it's in my briefcase. And the reason for that is that if I get sick in another state, and I travel from different states in the Northeast, in some states my marriage is recognized. In other states my marriage is not recognized. So I don't even know if the documentation will help, but if I get sick, or if Robert's somewhere and he gets sick, at least we have documentation to prove that we are a married couple. But, why should we have to do this?
This is our morning milk.
Yeah, I'm making the milky sign. That's really good, honey.
I was concerned about my hair last night.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about my hair right now. Are you zooming in?
Yes, I am.
I'm the mix master.
I always wanted to have a child. I always thought that was something I would do. And, the fact that I was involved in relationships with women didn't change that. I still knew that I wanted to have a child and I wanted to carry a child.
And there's a lot of planning that goes into it when you're planning it. So we were tracking ovulation for, I don't want to say a year, but more than 6 months.
Yes.
And we had to worry about if we were going to have enough money. If we ran out of sperm, we were going to have to buy more. We were going to have to store it and have it shipped. Little Francis, you are the result of your mother's persistence.
Yeah, so we had 1 vial of sperm left.
What ended up happening is I went and got one of those little dollies, and I picked up the sperm in this big canister from the one clinic, and I put it in the back of the car, and I drove it to the other clinic, and right as I was getting in the elevator, I was like, I know that this is the one. I know that this is it. So I bent down, and I took a little picture with my iPhone of me hugging the canister. And sure enough, that was our little Francis. And that was it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wound up pregnant and went on to the OBGYN.
She popped right out, and I don't know, like that first moment was just like I felt like I knew her right away. I knew that she was my little girl. I guess I had worries about being an adoptive parent or something, like having trouble bonding. And I had done some reading around that and everything, but just the moment she popped out, I just knew it was her, and I just oh God, I'm gonna cry. Our first friend that came is a photographer, and the first thing she said is, "Amy, she has your nose." I was like, yeah, because she does. She looks kind of like me, but it took like 20 minutes until she was like, wait, that's not possible.
If somebody said that, we were doing some kind of disservice to Frances or bringing a child into the world that that shouldn't be here because it doesn't occur naturally, I would first of all say that, there are lots of babies who don't occur naturally now that are conceived by artificial means.
With help?
With help, right, exactly. I know that there are some religious folks who believe that babies should only happen if it's, ordained by God and happens basically accidentally. I was an accident, and I am grateful for accidents, for sure. But I think the world would be a better place if every child were as wanted as this child is.
A big difference between my brother and I's wedding was that when you get engaged, there's celebration, there's party. So they had an engagement party, 2 engagement parties put on by their parents. They had a bridal shower. We didn't have any of that. I feel like there's such a huge difference that transpired between both of our weddings. We were treated differently. And not to say that it was like a monetary thing, but I mean the mere act of putting all this time and effort and financial backing into this for them was like, wow, how come that didn't happen for us?
We were pretty shocked, actually, on the day that we got our domestic partnership in the mail. We called our families to say, we're so excited, we filed for this, and we got our domestic partnership, we got our paperwork today, and we want to frame it, and we were so excited. And the only person who really was excited for us and really acknowledged it was my dad. Everybody else, even our friends, didn't recognize the significance of that. They were just like, oh, that's great, congratulations. Yeah. Whereas with a traditional wedding, there's all this buildup and there's this bachelorette nonsense and there's, presents and parties and all these things.
Engagement parties are,
It's just a lot more tradition. And ours was just like, oh, yay, good for you guys. We're like, we just committed to spend our lives together.
Got legal.
Yeah, and people were like, oh, that's great. Way to go.
We started getting letters from all over the tri-state area. We got invitations from about 12 different congregations. One of the first people that called us is our present parish priest.
Not only is the institution of our faith, the temple, the church, the cathedral, not the real place where God lives.
After the story broke, Father Richard actually made a formal welcome to us. And everybody was just, wonderful.
To all the world, it looked like we were offering them a sanctuary and a place to be, but they brought tremendous gifts to us as well, and we're very grateful for those. Right away, they gave us the ability to empathize with them and provide them some comfort in a really traumatic moment in their lives.
One of our issues was when we were looking for a church, we wanted to find a church, a Catholic church nearby, so that we could drop my mother off to the Catholic church, and then we would go to our church. But when we were discussing it with my mother, she says, oh, I'm not going back to, I'm going wherever you're going.
They are such wonderful people. You think we were a family. That's how close we are. The first day I went there, I was welcomed. So I says to Michael, so Michael says, I'm going to join this parish. I says, well, if you do, I will too. And that's what we did.
She says, I'm not going back there.
They don't want my, if they don't want my sons, they don't want me. I have to say, it was so refreshing. We walked in and we sat down, and for the first time, we were able to kiss at the sign of peace. And of course, we were a little bit nervous about doing it, but we saw some of the other gay couples doing it, so we did it. I would use the analogy in the past. We were a member of a church choir at St. Benedict's. Now we are a member of a church family at Zion.
Ref 71 did pass in Washington.
Yeah, which meant that
we're everything but married.
Right.
now.
So it expanded domestic partnership rights to all of the rights of marriage. So essentially, that's why it was nicknamed the Everything But Marriage Bill, because you can't call it marriage, but you have all the same rights. Had we had Francis after that expansion of domestic partnership rights, we would have both been able to be on the birth certificate. When you get married, you automatically get this whole slew of rights. You can inherit property. There's this presumed parentage, which means if you are a straight couple and you for some reason have to use a sperm donor, you don't have to have an adoption. You don't have to have the father adopt the child, because as a married couple, there is that presumed parentage. So it doesn't make sense that we shouldn't have that right too. It's not just, it's not just about the rights. There's also something specifically about marriage that we want too. Frances is going to understand what marriage is long before she's going to understand what domestic partnership is. And it's not going to have the same consequence to her as far as understanding her parents' relationship. We wanted her to have that, that certainty about what her family unit was comprised of.
I went to go get my final physical to get out in March of 07. Well, medical department asking questions for your physical are, have you ever had other sexual contact with men? It was just natural to me to say yes. A few weeks later, my E7 came up to me and said, you need to go see Admino, which is the administration officer. And he sits me down and says, I need to read your rights, because we were made aware that you have homosexual conduct in the branch, so we need to process you out. They asked, so I told. Type of separation is discharge, and I was honorably discharged, but reasons for separation is homosexual admission. This follows you throughout your career.
The toll that Omar getting discharged took on us was, are we going to stay together? What is our future going to be? It was rough because I still had a year left in the military whenever he was discharged. We said if anything gets rough, was just back away for a little bit. But we stayed strong.
It takes a lot out of you. All that you work for, all those years that you invest on your resume, pretty much. It gets taken away from you, and a lot of people are scared that there's nothing for you anymore.
At any second, if you slip or if you say something wrong or someone gets mad at you or, you make someone mad at you or something so small as saying the wrong thing to someone and they know that you're gay, that you pretty much end your career.
I saw Gloria Steinem yesterday. She mentioned something I've heard her say before, that movements take about 150 years from inception to exception, where it's integrated into society. These are really important issues that we need to solve. And, I hope the joy of the march and even the failure of marriage equality across the country in those states where it's failed, it's gotten the activists off their bums and out of the chairs and out of their bedrooms and out of the bars and said, we're really fighting here for something valuable, which is not that I want my rights. It's that we're going to finally let those kids in the bleachers sit in the good seats.
Every time I try to do anything but think of you, I fail. Your smile is in the background of everything I think about, everything I dream about.
It was the most beautiful and wonderful day ever. It was October 10th, 2008, so 2 years earlier than we were planning. We ended up just going to City Hall, which was just as beautiful because it's in San Francisco. Mayor Gavin Newsom officiated. And then, of course, when we got outside was my entire first grade, well, not my entire first grade class, most of my first grade class. Out of the 20 children in my class, 18 of them were there, and 15 of their parents had taken off work to come and support us, and they were throwing rose petals and blowing bubbles and cheering, and all the grown-ups were crying and clapping, and the kids were just throwing flowers and giggling. It was breathtaking.
Take that as a signal that you want me.
Reality check where the pursuit of truth never ends. In San Francisco, 18 first graders in a publicly funded school attended their lesbian teacher's wedding, officiated by our pal, Mayor Gavin Newsom.
I really hope that all the children of the world and the future generations understand and see how beautiful love is, and no matter who's getting married, it's a beautiful, blessed union, and that right should be afforded to everyone.
The wedding was listed as an official field trip on the public school docket, certainly a reality check for 6-year-olds.
A misconception in the media absolutely is that I personally brought the children off school grounds to witness my wedding, which is absolutely not the case. It was the director's idea. The director of my school's, one of her children was in my class, and she and a couple of other parents said, wouldn't it be great if we could surprise Erin on her wedding day? And wouldn't that be beautiful? And wow, wouldn't that be great for the kids? And
Parent-driven.
it was parent-driven. And 2 weeks before the wedding, they wrote up field trip forms, and all the parents had the opportunity to participate or not. And there were 2 children who didn't come. But I didn't know they were there. It was a surprise. That's the part that the media really got wrong. You know, they painted me as this evil, indoctrinating lesbian teacher who's going to try to change the world one child at a time. And it's really, I didn't know they were there. I'm not sorry they were there. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was breathtaking. My heart just stopped to come outside after, you think you can't get any higher than you are. You're so happy.
We were on cloud 9.
And then I'm like, hey, wait. And then they were all there, and they were all smiling and giggling, and all they saw was love. They didn't see a political agenda, and they didn't see anything abnormal or weird. They saw love.
Today's September 30th, and we got a package which we're assuming is our t-shirt for the National Equality March.
Yeah.
So,
we're all set.
I'm on the LGBT advisory board to the county executive. He's the highest elected official in our county. And one of our goals in the advisory board was to get our county executive to issue an executive order recognizing legally performed marriages in other jurisdictions so that same-sex married couples could have benefits in the county. And we were successful in doing that. And in June of 2006, he issued the executive order. Well, lo and behold, the Alliance Defense Fund from Arizona got a hold of 3 residents of the county that were willing to sue the county executive because he was granting rights to people that were not entitled to it and spending county tax dollars on it. Lambda Legal approached us to see if we would be interested in becoming interveners in the case. So in other words, we asked to be part of the case. Our marriage certificate is no different than any other couple that goes to Canada and comes back and they're married when they cross the border.
Marriage is important for us because it's the only way that I can protect my husband, my family.
Early 2007, March. The lower court ruled in our favor. Of course, the Alliance Defense Fund appealed it. In December
of that year.
of 2008, the appellate court ruled unanimously that our county executive had the right to recognize our marriages.
And that our marriages should be.
The Alliance Defense Fund appealed the appellate ruling. They could rule narrowly and just say that our county executive had the right to rule on same-sex marriages for the county. Or they can rule and say that all same-sex marriages legally performed elsewhere need to be recognized in the state. The ideal outcome is that the Court of Appeals rules that all same-sex marriages legally performed in other jurisdictions are to be recognized here in New York State.
That is what we want.
That's
what
what
we're
we want.
hoping for. That is what will protect LGBT families in this state.
We had originally conceived the idea of making a documentary where some crazy couple went to all the states that they were married in. And, you know, it was kind of as a way to show how ridiculous the idea is that you can be married in one state and walk 2 steps over a border and not be married. There's our beautiful rig. I said to Amy, you know, well, we probably can't make a movie about this, but I said, but we could
make a website.
We could make a website, you know.
Well, we're getting ready to leave Alabama. We've been here for a few days celebrating Robert's sister's birthday.
I've had a great time, but now it's time to move on to head to Washington for the march and the rally. So packing up and
We were there 30 years ago for the first Equality March. So we'll be here for this one as well.
Okay, it's now 8:15.
And it's dark because we're ready to go.
We're about to go outside and wait for our ride to the airport.
And look how tiny my bag is. I want everyone to know that I packed a really small bag, but in all honesty, I'm only taking 1 pair of shoes this time, so I did better than I have in the past.
And check out our bag. Hold that.
What bag is that, baby?
Our backpack.
Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. No on Prop 8.
Yeah.
Repeal Prop 8. Flag HRC. I do support the freedom to marry. And then some random wine patch.
So we have 24 hours.
Yeah.
We have 24 hours till we get the capital. And does everybody have any questions? First of all, questions. Please say them now. Questions.
Which states are we driving through?
Arkansas, Tennessee, and Virginia.
Awesome.
Okay, well, here we are. We are in, I don't know where, Washington, at a rest stop. There's our rig. We are at the Winchester Wasteway Rest Area.
And there's the mama. Hi, Mom.
Right past you guys?
I don't know.
I was just...
Hi.
Hi. Oh, no, not that.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yay, to see us off for our big gay march.
So
Okay, I
we
have
are
my cell
trying
phone.
to cram into this 15-passenger van.
We're like a prison van full of gays.
Omar is gonna drive first. Are you driving first?
Yes.
How many more?
There's only one more seat.
There's only 2 more seats and there's
Yeah. We need one more seat.
No, there's still the front seat.
Right, but there's 4 people waiting.
1, 2, 3. There has been an error in calculation, guys. Will all the gays be able to fit in the one bus?
I'm on the airplane now, and I am almost shaking with excitement and lack of sleep and packing. But I did get stopped by TSA because I have 75 metal buttons in my bag, buttons that say March for Equality. So I had to prove that all that metal wasn't a problem.
All right, ladies. Here we go. To DC.
We are finally taking off. Goodbye, Long Beach. Goodbye, California. Hello, Equal Rights.
Hi-dee-lady-o, dee-lady-o, hi-dee-lady-o, dee-lady, hi-dee-lady-o, dee-lady-o, hi-dee-lady-o, lady-tee. Tennessee is home today. Tonight it's Texarkana. Tomorrow it's Missouri, and the next day Indiana. California, here we come, or is that Louisiana? New York, Utah, Illinois, like three-boy Pollyannas. Life in a box, opportunity knocks. We're living our lives in a 20-foot box. Aluminum box with latches and locks. And one tiny closet just bursting with frocks. You put the kitchen table down, you move the cushions all around. You got an almost king-size bed. Head to toe, you wall to wall, but if you're more than 6 feet tall, stand up straight, you're gonna bump your head. In your life in a box, without any clocks. We're lounging around in our boxers and socks. Aluminum box, the fun never stops, and it's easy to clean without vacuums or mops. You put the kitchen table down, you move the cushions all around, you got an almost king-size bed. Head to toe, you're wall to wall, but if you're more than 6 feet tall, standing straight, you're gonna bump your head. In your life in a box, with pretty good shocks, we don't feel the potholes in most of the rocks. Aluminum box, if anyone knocks, offer them bagels with cream cheese and lox. You must keep them stocked if you live in a box, along with some root beer and scotch on the rocks. You'll find us here in our 20-foot box. Zip code 00000. You're the lady, oh, you're the lady, oh, you're the lady, oh, the lady.
I saw something about a national equality march. I'm there. I don't care if we're asking equality for fat people or people of color, or I don't care what it is. It's simply if there's equality, a possibility in America to bring everybody into full citizenship, I want to be there. At McPherson Square, a woman tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. And it was a woman that I hadn't seen since June 24th, 1982, who had sat with me on folding chairs and fasted for 37 days on water. So I hugged her like no other hug. It's really spectacular.
Next up, an amazing man that I am honored to know because of his service to our country, Lieutenant Dan Choi.
At the Arlington National Cemetery, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier will be laying a wreath with other members of Nights Out and our community.
And we are celebrating and recognizing Leonard Matlovich, one of the first to come out against the gay ban in the military.
We need to never forget. We need to know our heroes, our heroines. We need to know the ones that went before us. Every one of you, you are a parent. And who are your children? Your children are tomorrow's lesbians and gays coming along. And being the caring, loving parents you are, we're going to leave a history today so they can pay homage to what we've done for them. I welcome you to Congressional Cemetery. Thank you very much.
Being here at the National Equality March, especially here at Arlington National Cemetery, I'm here very happily and to make a difference, help make a difference, and put this uniform to rest, and put what happened to me and will hopefully not happen to others to rest. When I was told that I was being processed out, what am I gonna do? And it probably happened just like this. What am I gonna do? I need to find a job. I need to find a place to stay. The whole world just starts rambling through your head. All of a sudden, Pat, they kick you out like you're nothing. But you are somebody. Everybody's somebody. Everybody's worth something. And I think I'm making a commitment as of today and even before I came here to continue this fight against this horrific law.
We are actually in the midst of a road trip across the country.
We're visiting all of the states in which our marriage is recognized. So far we went to Iowa, we loved it there. And we haven't hit another one until now, Washington, D.C.
We're documenting this on a website, arewemarried.com. And we're marching essentially for Frances because we think that we want her generation to grow up in a place where same-sex marriage is legal.
You know, we kind of want to show that it's ridiculous to be married in one state and not in another. And it's unequal, and it's, it just doesn't make any sense because I'll tell you, we've been married in every state that we've gone through. We didn't really plan on being the poster children for marriage, but it's what we are. And
along with a whole lot of other people.
Yeah, along with a whole lot of other people.
I am here on Constitution Avenue in front of the IRS building where the most publicized event of the march in Washington, the wedding, is going to take place. And this is serious. I mean, do you take this as being a serious event?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's definitely serious.
I'm here at the wedding because I love Nancy, and I believe that our relationship needs to be legitimized in some way in front of other people.
I think after 10 years, it's about time. Yeah.
My name is Robin Tyler, and I am here today to get married.
And so it is. You are together as friends, as lovers, as life mates, as partners.
Congratulations, you all just got married. Congratulations.
This coming Tuesday, the 13th of October, we are going to New York's High Court, which is the Court of Appeals, for oral arguments. This is the same court that ruled against allowing us to get married. But we're very confident and we're hopeful that we will win, because this is about legal precedent about recognizing marriages that were legally performed in other jurisdictions.
Our wedding was poorly timed for the election, about a month before the election, and the Yes on Prop 8 folks had just, maybe 2 weeks before our wedding, put out the commercial where a little girl comes home and says, "Mommy, I can marry a princess," you know, and then they cut to these two people who were hired actors saying, "Our children are going to learn about gay marriage in schools." And then, oh, here comes Aaron and Carrie. Here's the teacher with the gay wedding.
Opponents of Proposition 8 said gay marriage has nothing to do with schools. Then a public school took first graders to a lesbian wedding, calling it a teachable moment. Children will be taught about gay marriage unless we vote yes on Proposition 8.
It was really bad timing, and they really exploited our images and our day for their own political benefit, and we had no recourse. There's nothing we could do.
You're welcome. My birthday card.
What is it?
Those marriage vows, we meant them. Life's up and downs, we've lived them. The rest of forever, to be continued with love.
Now we're going to hang out here because we know that hopefully President Obama will be coming by here.
Obama, let mama marry mama. Obama, let mama marry mama.
Give us a ride!
Give us a ride!
What do we want?
Equal rights.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
What do we want?
Now.
This is the way that civil rights have always been won. Whether for LGBT people, whether for immigrant rights, whether for African Americans, whether for women, whether for anyone. This is the way that equal rights are won. It's on the streets that civil rights are won.
Yes!
Are we a nation
that can transcend old attitudes and worn divides? Can we embrace our differences and look to the hopes and dreams that we share? Will we uphold the ideals on which this nation was founded, that all of us are equal, that all of us deserve the same opportunity to live our lives freely and pursue our chance at happiness? I believe we can. I believe we will.
Frankly, we're sick of the talk that we've gotten out of this administration. When he comes here to the HRC Gala and talks some more, why should we believe anything that he's got to say? I mean, what we really need right now is action.
We are moving ahead on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We should not be punishing patriotic Americans who have stepped forward to serve this country. We should be celebrating their willingness to show such courage and selflessness on behalf of their fellow citizens.
Well, for one thing, he could be doing an immediate stop-loss order to stop the purges of lesbian and gay soldiers from the military. He could be using the bully pulpit in favor of the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. I just find it absurd that this president thinks that the thing that we need is for gay people to hear a pro-gay rights message. The fact is the matter, we know about that. He needs to be giving this pro-gay message to America.
The struggle waged by the Human Rights Campaign is about more than any policy we can enshrine into law. It's about our capacity to love and commit to one another. It's about whether or not we value as a society that love and commitment. It's about our common humanity and our willingness to walk in someone else's shoes. To imagine losing a job not because of your performance at work, but because of your relationship at home. To imagine worrying about a spouse in the hospital with the added fear that you'll have to produce a legal document just to comfort the person you love. The truth is that our common ideals are a force far stronger than any division that some might sow. And these ideals, when voiced by generations of citizens, are what made it possible for me to stand here today. These ideals are what made it possible for the people in this room to live freely and openly, when for most of history that would have been inconceivable. That's the promise of America, HRC. That's the promise we're called to fulfill, day by day, law by law, changing mind by mind. That is the promise we are fulfilling. Thank you for the work you're doing. God bless you. God bless America.
And here we are, Sunday, October 11th. It's National Coming Out Day, and it's the march. Oh wait, get a picture of what I'm wearing. Well, it's backwards, but this is me. No on 8.
We are on our way to the march. It is Sunday at 9:45 in the morning.
Okay. Well, we've arrived here at our room at the Mayflower Hotel. I was able to use my frequent miles. And
I can't believe it. We have a suite.
We have a suite so we can party. We're getting really excited. It's about an hour and a half to the march.
Why do you build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down and mess me around? And the worst of all, you never call baby when you say you will. But I love you still. I need you more than anyone, darling. You know that I have from the start. So build me up, buttercup. Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart.
Whoa.
Runners. All right, we gotta go get on the subway.
It will be very fun and neat to meet all the people that came from all the different states. We just had someone spit at us. Shame on them. We have nothing but open arms and love.
Stand on corners in the cold. We stand on principle alone. And whoever knew take the vote of a fool, the vote of a fool, to strip my rights as a man. I can't believe I am from this land.
All right, I don't know if you can see this camera, but there is a big old rainbow right up there in the sky.
Right about.
Proof positive, my friends. God loves the gays.
It is a sign. It is a rainbow in the sky, and I hope all the haters out there are looking up right now, where they say they are so pious. There's your sign. There is your sign. National Coming Out Day. We are marching for equality. That is a rainbow sent from heaven. Thank you, God.
Yes, we can! 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 Equality! Gay, straight, black, white! Marriage is a civil right! Gay, straight, black, white! Marriage is a civil right! Gay, straight, black, white! Marriage is a civil right!
Hi, this is Zoe Nicholson. It's October 11th, and this is the National March for Equality. And I just want to shout out to all the people who couldn't be here today, who are afraid to be out, who are in homes where people don't understand them, who are living in homeless shelters, who are the gay, queer youth of America. We're walking for you.
Everywhere we go, people wanna know who we are, so we tell them, we are the queer youth, the mighty, mighty queer youth, the mighty, mighty queer youth.
This is no longer a gay rights movement. This is a civil rights movement. This is a human rights movement.
I believe in what they believe in. They're human beings and they deserve the same rights as we all have.
A couple of years
If
ago,
that's what
not
they
too
choose
long
to do,
ago,
then
we
that's
couldn't even
fine.
be out here on this corner, so.
This is our generation's movement. Our time is now.
They say that this country is free, and they say that this country is equal, but it is not equal.
Here's my house. And here is the wife of my house.
Hello.
Don't you see? We demand equality. Hey Obama, don't you see? We demand equality.
Obama, I know that you're listening.
Hey Obama, don't you see? We demand equality.
Are you listening?
Hey Obama, don't you see? We demand equality. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
We are gathered here today from all over the United States. And when we walk away from here tonight, we need to walk away with a common national resolve that each one of us will do everything in his or her power to see that DOMA is finally repealed.
Marriage equality. Now. Marriage equality. Now.
Please welcome next to the stage, Lieutenant Dan Choi.
We love our country, even when our country refuses to acknowledge our love. But we continue to defend it and we continue to protect it because love is worth it. Love is worth it. If you believe it, say it with me. Love is worth it.
All you need is love. Dun, 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 dun. All you need is love.
the Golden Gate to the Statue of Liberty. From Florida to Niagara, equality is more than just a word. What we want is equality, is equality, is equality, is equality.
We have existed in every time, in every place, in every culture, in every land. And we are here today finally to say that we are equal. We are equal. We are equal in every respect. We are equal in our ability to form and sustain loving relationships. We are equal in our ability to parent and foster parent and adopt. We are equal in our ability to defend our country. We are equal in our ability to work. We have always loved this country. We have loved God, even as we were expelled and excommunicated from our churches and temples and synagogues. We are equal. We are equal. We are equal.
It's 5 o'clock, October 11th, and we just left the march. I guess I should tell you how I feel. You know, the most important thing about a march isn't the march at all. It's what you do with the march. And now you go home and you write. And you send out your pictures. And you start to acknowledge and come out on National Out Day that you've been to a march and that you're an activist. You're a human rights activist. And it's your vocation for the rest of your life. Really, the fun's just begun.
I'm sorry, do you want to come up here? You know,
Pulling on the heartstrings, the prayer of a little child to always make a difference in an ill-contented time. We notice the complacency of a world too blind to see that fierce distraction numbs us from a birthright of equality. We're sounding out the call, a call for justice, for all there's just us to do it. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, so let's get to it. Moving the bands of convention, marching to deepen your intentions, ready to pass the torch of fire, agents of change to inspire an evolution. Of the heart, an evolution. Anointed messengers came out to heal a broken sisterhood, a unifying fast, 37 days without food, a fast to start a solemn prayer for people everywhere, a spirit full of love and joy invites us to come there, a prayer for you and me. Find the she in your humanity. We're from discrimination. Awaken the nation. Moving the bands of convention, marching to deepen your intentions, ready to pass the torch of fire, agents of change to inspire an evolution.
agent of change to inspire.